welcome to A Better Place Live. I am your host, Angelique. We will be bringing you a new entertaining show where we will be discussing in our first series, relationships. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Hey guys, did you know that now with Telcel, if you accumulate $25 or more within one calendar month, you get 15 more?
15 more?
Yes, 15 more. However you want.
So I can top up $3 now, $10 next week, and so on until I reach or pass $25?
That's right. Get 15 more.
Wow! I feel like a 15 again.
Yeah. Right. Accumulate $25 or more within one calendar month and get 15 more. Telcel, when you want more.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place Live. As I mentioned in the intro, today we have a very special program in store for you, and we will be talking about relationships. And I have 4 special guests in the studio with me today. Hi, and welcome to A Better Place.
Glad to be here.
Mr. Robert Gibbs, welcome to A Better Place.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Can you share a little bit about yourself with the audience?
Well, my name is actually Roberto Gibbs, called Robert. I was born in Curaçao, lived the best part of my life, the majority of my life in the Netherlands, and have been coming to St. Martin since 2004 off and on. And since 2009, like fixed here in St. Martin.
Thank you so much. Our second guest today is Miss Perla Burney. Perla, welcome to A Better Place.
Hi, I'm Perla Burney. I was born on the island of St. Martin and was raised here for the majority part of my life. And today I'm glad to be sharing with you, Angelique, on A Better Place, and I'm here with my better half.
Thank you, Perla. Our next guest is Miss Caputo. Heather, welcome to A Better Place.
Thank you.
Heather, what can you share with the audience about yourself?
My name is Heather Caputo. I was born in the States, but I have lived in St. Martin for nearly 19 years, together with my husband of nearly 19 years.
Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
And last but not least, John Caputo. Welcome to A Better Place.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
What can you share with us about yourself?
Well, I was actually born in Japan, and I've lived now in St. Martin since 1993, so coming up on 25 years. Moved here at 22 years old, and this is home for me.
So I want to thank you all for being here on A Better Place. As I mentioned, and as you know, you're here because we want to discuss relationships, and you've been in long-lasting relationships, and that's what we want to showcase today. The positivity, the positive sides about being in a relationship. Maybe not so positive sides, but we just want to make everyone aware that, you know, you can make your relationship last, and give us a little bit of tips. And then, of course, we have the audience who's going to be posing questions or also making comments on some of the statements you may make. So thanks again for being on A Better Place.
You're welcome.
Yep.
So I'm going to start with Heather and John.
Okay.
Heather and John, tell us a little bit about, you know, how you met, and if you knew from the onset that this is who you wanted to be with.
Well, I ran her over on my bicycle, just to get her to stop and talk to me, actually. I had just moved to Austin, Texas, and 12 years old, so she was 11. And we had mutual friends that we now got introduced to each other, and we just hit it off and became best friends from there. And I think it took her a little bit longer to realize that I was the one that I knew from that day. So we're childhood sweethearts, but we've never really lived together until she came here, or in the same place.
Heather, do you have the same story, or does yours differ?
It's the same story. It's the same story. He's been my best friend since I was 11. So, yeah, we have, of course, moments of frustration But as
That's what
long
we'll call
as, as long as our friendship has withstood everything, we feel that we're in it forever.
Okay, let me ask this question then. Have you had boyfriends or girlfriends in between? Because if you've known
Oh,
each
yes.
other since 11 and 14,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when we were friends, we didn't even live together in the same city. He was living abroad, and I was living, in college and that type of thing. But as friends, whenever he would get dumped, he would call me and cry. And whenever I dumped, I would call him and tell him I dumped the guy. And it just worked.
Now, ask me that same question, whether I remember it the same way.
okay, so you tell us your side.
Kind of the same thing. We were always best friends. We both had serious relationships in between. Obviously I was living here before we got married as well, and but just something along the lines, I always knew she was the one. So it was good to date other people and actually have that validated.
Right, nice. So now let's move on to Roberto, and Perla. Now, Roberto and Perla, you're not married like Heather and John is, but you also have been together for quite a while. Tell us about your relationship and how you met.
Who you want to start? Me or Robert? I'll
Doesn't
start.
matter.
Well, we actually met. I used to work at Winair, and Robert came to do the due diligence for the company when they were about to purchase Winair. And I was in the office, and my supervisor at that time came in and said, well, the gentlemen are here to do the due diligence. And I saw Robert. He came in the office, he introduced himself, and I said to myself, you and I are going to be together. And he was coming backward and forward, and then I think it's about a year after. But every time we would interact, because he would need information from the company, and he would call and say, I need this, I need things from Shell, I need this, I need that. After a year, I think I was traveling to Curacao on a Friday evening, and you were on the same flight, and we sat next to each other. Normally I sleep on every flight, but that flight I didn't sleep. We chatted the whole flight, and then I came back the Sunday night. And I was anxious to go to her because I knew I had to have an email. And when I went on the job, I logged on one time, I checked my email, and boom, there it was. Enjoyed your company. And that's how the relationship started and actually grew.
Nice. Mr. Gibbs, do you have the same recollection?
Well, the recollection is the same. Walked in the office, back and forth, because at that time I was the director of KLMXL in the Netherlands, and we were in the process of buying Winair. I had to do and as the CFO, I came over to do the due diligence, and walked into the offices, and I saw Perla there, and I thought, yes. And then went about my business and did the work that I had to do. The purchase did not go through immediately. A year later, I came back to do part of the job again, to see if we could now finish up the job of purchasing Winair. And that's when, on the trip, I was going to Curacao to visit family, and Perla was going to Curacao, I think, to visit friends. And we met on the plane. And normally I'm anxious to have the flight over so I can, just get out of it and go home. But that night it could have lasted a little longer. I wasn't, we hit off from there, and as he says, the email the next day, and that's some 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's,
When we return, we will be taking questions from the audience. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering.
Heather, John, Perla, and Roberto, be prepared. So let's see, who wants to pose the first question here today?
I have a question to both couples. Basically, what happens when, you both made a lot of comments about being friends, but what happens when the friend you have is different to the friend you think you have, and you have these clashes? Especially, I couldn't understand with Heather and John being friends for so long in different parts, who you think may change over time. We all have different goals and dreams and whatnot. So what happens when those clashes happen, and also this couple, when you realize he's just a leave his shoes in the house guy. So what happens when those clashes happen and your expectations are?
I guess I'll go. Or don't clash. All right. I think one of the big things that we had, most of our arguments actually aren't so much about our relationship. It's we work together as well, and that's tough, but part of it that we find, at least, that at the end of the workday, a lot of times you come home and you have a story to tell about your day and your work and different things. But we're kind of there all the time with each other anyway, so we kind of already know it. And so that's probably one of the biggest challenges I think we have, is having that little bit of our own mystery of our day that we can come home and share at night. As far as the clashes and outside of that, sometimes difference of opinions of kids, of course. But I think it's once you have that understanding and going back to communication and not having that I always have to be right attitude, I think that's always brought us back to the logical, what is right and what is wrong. So if we start from there, everything seems to work itself out.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think one thing that John mentioned was, I think it's very important, is communication. It maybe doesn't answer completely the question, because you're saying, what if the friend that you thought you had changes? Well, in our case, the friend hasn't changed, but of course we've had, as every relationship, you've had your moments of clashes, discussions, and I think communication is the key. You have to keep on communicating. And you have to want to solve whatever there is. I tend to try not to leave the house before you have, something that was bothering you, have it discussed and solved. I think that's important. Just to get it out of the way, discuss it, and that the friendship that you have helps to do that. But to say the friendship changes, then it might be different. But our friendship hasn't changed. It has grown. It has become different, but more. It has become more, not just change in a negative way.
I think to answer more specifically the question about if you change, we are not the same people we were at 11 or at 20 or at 30 or even at 40. You change and you grow, and as long as your relationship is strong, you're going to grow and change together, and you're going to support what each other is growing into, and you're going to be able to communicate your interests and then help support each other. And that's going to make a lasting relationship. I mean, everybody changes all the time. We're definitely not the same people, but you grow together.
Yeah. If Robert does something that I don't like, he will definitely hear about it. But it doesn't mean that, sorry, that we stay mad, or we practice not to go to sleep mad. But if he do me something and I don't say anything, he wouldn't know. You understand? So in my view, I must let him know that, listen, whatever you did, I didn't appreciate it. And it might come into an argument because Robert is not necessarily a person who likes to be told. So it does create, it doesn't mean that we have to stay mad, but I will tell you that I don't appreciate it or I don't like it.
And I think of the thing about going to bed mad. We go to bed at the same time together, and if there ever is something on our minds that's maybe not always great, we definitely try to get it worked out before it. And I do believe going to bed not mad at each other is very important.
Well, I would like to say something to that, because the majority of people may say that sounds so cliche though. You know, don't go to bed mad, because you say it, but do you really practice it?
Yeah,
Yes.
we don't go to
Yes.
bed mad.
Yes.
So you're like one of the small little percentages that actually do it, because I believe that you shouldn't. I believe that you should not go to bed mad, and that you should indeed talk about it and get things resolved. But not everyone is about communicating, and then I think then you have another issue when the other person doesn't like to communicate, or it's like, no, I'm not talking.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it does sound cliche, and we're not, you know, some Mary Poppins couple or something like that, but, and sometimes, yeah, if something is very much irritating you, you don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm going to go to bed, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And of course we've had those, but then you sleep on it, and that gives you some perspective, and then you can talk about it, you know, without the emotion of it the next day. So it's not like, oh my God, we're not going to bed until we, you know, are smiling at each other. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're communicating about it, it's okay.
I think it's also the experience that you've had. I mean, I've saying not leaving the house without having something settled. For me, it comes from experience. You know, a good friend of mine, happened to him, left the house. One of the best friends left the house, very upset, and you know, and due to an accident, never came home. And I've seen what this has done to his partner. And you know, I said, you know, that isn't something that I would ever want to happen to me or to my loved ones. And so I really, it's something that I practice it. You know, I have to stand on my head to make sure she's happy before I leave. I will. So that you know, so that you do leave the house in a peaceful way.
You know, a good tip is to have a TV in your room. So if he doesn't want to talk, I'll go like, what did Trump say? Or what did Trump mean when he says so and so? Or you know, I'll bring up a conversation, he'll automatically talk. So a TV is a good thing to have in the room. It brings about conversation.
I think we have another question in the audience.
In the development of how was your marriage when you were in the courting period? How have you developed your relationship with each other? It's very important for young people to hear that.
When we were courting?
Yeah.
Well, he was here. I was just out of university, so traveling with a job I had, but he kept saying, you know, what's it going to take for you to move down here? And I was like, an engagement ring. So, so I mean, that's what we did. But we made extra special times to get together because he we were in 2 different countries, but we got engaged in Aspen on a vacation together, and it was very special to plan. It was very special to live apart and then get married and then move in together, which is really traditional, but doesn't happen very much anymore. I think all of that was a lot of fun and very special part of it.
I remember it too.
Yeah.
in learning to know each other, characters, etc. How did that go? That's very, very important.
For us, it really didn't. We didn't learn anything about each other because we had been friends for so long. So as I hate to keep harping on this theme of best friends, but being best friends, it was very easy, very easy. If you're courting and you're friends, it's a lot easier than if you're just trying to
know each other.
to get there. Right.
And your situation was different.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you during the period that you're together, as I said before, you get to know each other, and you need to have the basis. The basis that's the click that you have together. But during the years of being together, or the first or second year, you get to know each other better. And the longer you are with each other, the better you get to know each other.
I'm a very old-fashioned kind of girl, and I'm also Christian, and I believe that a wife should submit herself to her husband, not meaning that he dominates you, but you kind of boost his ego. Do you ladies also do this for your husbands or your partner?
Submit in what sense?
Okay, men, this is a little history lesson. Men were created with egos, and I believe that we were designed as well to help boost those egos. Because, I mean, if you look at Michelle and Obama, Michelle is a very powerful woman compared to Obama. But she put him in front, where you have so that powerful woman behind that man. Do you also, think that is something important in your relationships?
I think that's very important, but I think you should ask him if. I think I'm a powerful woman behind him, but you should ask him if he feels that he has a powerful woman behind him.
Well, I don't really want a powerful woman behind me. I'm not the type that wants a woman behind me. I want a woman next to me. And if Christian or however you want to bring it forward, I think it's important that you're together. And a woman has to be strong on her own. And Perla is strong on her own, and I don't want her to be behind me. I want her to be next to me. And that works good for us.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Bob, I see you got a new couch. Now you don't have anything else to worry about. Uh-oh, but don't worry about it. With your Be Sure home insurance, the contents of your home are all covered for free.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Yeah, for free.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So John and Heather, and this question is for Heather, you actually brought up a topic that I also wanted to talk about a bit, because you said that you grew up having a stepmom. So what was that like?
Well, my parents got divorced at a very young age, and it was very, very trendy, I think, in the States to get a divorce then, in the late 70s or early 80s. So everybody was getting a divorce, and but I did notice that when I was growing up, the friends that I chose, their parents were still together. And I didn't do it consciously. I just can recognize it looking back that all of my best friends, except for John, all had parents that were still together and still had this family, traditional family unit. So I guess I wanted it.
John?
Mine stayed together for the sake of the kids. also, so probably a little bit longer than it should, which in a round might have also had a bad reaction, because if you're not happy at the top, that's going to trickle down the family as well. So there's definitely, sometimes it's not right to stay together. But yeah, indeed, when you add that different dynamic of a stepmom into the mix, or a stepfather, there's different parenting styles, different backgrounds, maybe all of a sudden a new sibling or two, and it definitely changes a child's life. I think kids want that stability. It is very difficult to have somebody new into your relationship. I think it's much more accepted now. But we look at our friends actually here. Most all of them are still married with original family, and that seems to be the couples that we gravitate towards. That like-minded people and like-minded relationship goals, family goals. We travel a lot with these families as well, and it's definitely a nice dynamic having a strong family bond and surrounding your family with that.
Well, I think one thing that John just said, I think is true and very important. That we tend to stay together for the kids, or say the same again for the kids. But kids always know when the relationship is not good, and things are rough. I always say that mom and dad are fighting up here, and the kids down here getting the blows.
You've brought a wealth of information and encouragement for the audience and also the viewing audience concerning relationships, some of the do's and don'ts, what makes it work for you. And I think you've brought across the general ideas that we've grown up with as to what you have to do to make a relationship work. So I want to thank you, Perla, Roberto, Heather, and John, for being on the program. And to your viewing audience, and of course our live audience, I would like to thank you for having been a part of A Better Place. Stay tuned for our upcoming programs, where we will be continuing our discussions on relationships. And our next program, we will be looking at relationships from a different perspective. We will be talking to some young couples. I am your host, Angelique Rumu.